night, a bar night for leather dykes, queers, trans folks, and women. And they have a weird thing that I wanted to talk about. They have the Queer Hanky Code. So this is something we learn new things every year about what the gay people are up to. And this is a system where you wear a bracelet, and then the color determines what sort of kink you're into. And so if it's worn on the left or it's worn on the right, it means two different things. But, a gray bracelet means latex. A green one means looking for a daddy or looking for a little. A red one means if you're wearing a red bracelet on your left, it means you're a fist fucker. If you wear it on your right, you want to be fist fucked. And if you're wearing a yellow bracelet, it means you wear and drink piss on your right. And if you're wearing it on your left, it means you will piss. They will piss on you. So I'm going to take this bracelet off. I had no idea who sent these to the P.O. box or what happened here. You told me to put this on, right?
I didn't realize that this is what we were getting into.
So I am not a fist fucker. I'm going to take that off. Did you just put that on your left?
I do not want to drink or wear piss.
But you will piss on somebody. I see you switched it.
Well, I'm not going to drink or wear piss. I'd rather be the pisser.
Appreciate that. All right. One more song, everybody. Last song of the night.
All right. The Israelis continue their campaign to win friends and influence people by bombing a TV station mid-broadcast in Iran. This is Mohammed Safa. Israel killed journalists in Gaza. Israel killed journalists in Lebanon. Israel just targeted an Iranian TV studio, killing a number of journalists. This violates Article 79 of Additional Protocol Geneva Conventions, but international law clearly doesn't apply to Israel. Yes, that is true, unfortunately.
Jesus.
Yep. Mohammed Madari, I believe, based on the reporting, was in the building for his interview with Piers Morgan at the time. Oh. We are going to be having him on Wednesday.
Morandi.
Yeah,
sorry.
Israel bombs Iran state TV after threatening it would disappear. Israel has attacked the Iranian state broadcaster IRIB and interrupted a live broadcast with an explosion, marking another escalation in the conflict with Tehran and replicating its previous attacks on news media targets in Gaza, the occupied West Bank, and Lebanon. TV anchor Sahar Amami denounced Monday's aggression against the homeland and the truth as a blast went off and smoke and debris filled the screen. The footage then showed her fleeing the studio as a voice is heard calling God is greatest. The attack came shortly after the Israeli military issued a threat for Tehran's District 3, where IRIB's headquarters is located, and Defense Minister Israel Katz said, quote, "The Iranian propaganda and incitement mouthpiece is on its way to disappear." So this is what impunity they operate with. This is a war crime. They advertised that they're about to commit a war crime. They didn't even feel any need to cloak it in the it was an accident. We were trying to hit a military target. Just straight out. Yep. This is what we think of your international law. Who's going to stop us? Iran's Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesman Ismail Baghei accused Israel of committing a wicked act that constitutes a war crime and of being the #1 killer of journalists and media people. That is literally true. The Committee to Protect Journalists has counted 178 journalists killed in Gaza by Israel since October 2023. Making it the deadliest conflict for media workers ever recorded. The UNSC, United Nations Security Council, must act now to stop the genocidal aggressor from committing further atrocities against our people, Baghei wrote on X. The CPJ said it was appalled by Israel's attack on Iranian state TV and argued impunity for the killings of Palestinian journalists had emboldened the country to target media elsewhere. This bloodshed must end now, the organization said on X. Iranian journalist Younes Shadlo said many of his colleagues were inside the building when the Israeli attack happened. Quote, "I don't know how many of my colleagues are still inside right now," he reported from outside the burning building in Tehran. "We had been given evacuation warnings, but everyone stayed until the very last moment to show the true face of the Zionist regime to the world." Wow. That is some courage, man. That is some courage. You know that these genocidal maniacs have targeted that studio and to stay to make a point. Wow. Al Jazeera's Dorsa Jabari said the strike was highly symbolic because it targeted an entity with close links to the Iranian government. Quote, "The head of the network is appointed by the supreme leader directly, so it is a significant part of the establishment," Jabari said. "This is going to be a great shock for the Iranian people," she continued. "The station is located in a large fortified complex that has a long history dating back to the 1940s. The channel is the most watched inside Iran, and Amami is a renowned anchor." Fawad Azadi, professor of international relations at the University of Tehran, said he feared there would be a lot of casualties from the attack. "It's a huge building," he told Al Jazeera. "Iran's news channel is located on the first floor. It has 4 floors, and on every floor you have at least 200 to 300 people working." Azadi said he expected the attack to spark international outrage and be condemned by international media outlets. Yeah, I'm sorry to say I would not hold my breath for that. Israel, this is really, when you look at it, Israel has a lot of the core assumptions of the Nazi state, only with the entire world cheering it on and reaffirming it in those beliefs. This core assumption of the absolute rightness of its cause, the belief in an ethno-supremacist ideology, having a state built on the assumption of their own inherent superiority, and the second-class status of everyone else in their society, and that worldview giving them the right to do anything while claiming they're doing it as a defensive action because the world is against them and they are victims of the world. It's that volatile brew with absolute impunity, absolute lack of pushback from most of the rest of the Western world that they see themselves as being a part of. That's how you get here, where you've got a state that is essentially a fascist Nazi state that would just say, yeah, we're bombing a TV station. Yeah. International law, international schwa. Mark Ames here. Israel has already murdered more journalists in Gaza than were killed in World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Yugoslavia, and Afghanistan combined, with the full support of Washington and Brussels. Exactly. What's another massacre of journalists to the collective West? That's it. This is what a state with that ideology will do if you give them absolute impunity and all of the media lining up to excuse their actions. This is how far it can go. Hussein Haj Shaflel. Let's call this what it fucking is. Mohammed Morandi, one of the most fearless, eloquent voices exposing Zionist lies, was inside that building to interview Piers Morgan. Inside, while it was bombed by Israel. Not before, not after, during. This wasn't a random strike. This wasn't collateral damage. This was a calculated, deliberate act of terror designed to silence a man speaking the truth about Gaza, Iran, and the crimes of empire. And he fucking survived. Now ask yourself, was this just about targeting infrastructure? Or was the interview a setup? Was Piers the bait? Was our Syed being drawn into a media trap? Because this wasn't just an attack on a building. It was an attempted assassination on truth itself. It's certainly possible. It's certainly possible. That is something we'll definitely ask him about on Wednesday. So this is an IDF spokesperson doing like they do, blaming the victim.
Definitely 8 civilians were killed and dozens were injured. This is the face of the Iranian terror regime. We strike at nuclear capabilities and military capabilities that were supposed to annihilate Israel, but they are targeting civilians. And this is exactly why we launched this operation, to remove this existential threat from over Israel, the nuclear and missile threat.
They're the ones who, I mean, if you've watched what's gone on in Gaza since October 2023, it is amazing to see an IDF spokesperson make the claim that Iran is the evil one targeting civilians. The spokesperson for the IDF says Iran is targeting civilians, and that's why Iran is a terror regime. So a country that targets civilians is a terror regime? Got it. And this is a BBC interview with Richard Dalton. He's a former senior British diplomat and served as an ambassador to Libya and to Iran.
Is widening its illegal aggression against Iran by targeting more and more the civilian infrastructure of the Iranian ruling system, having attacked nuclear installations and military installations. It was pretty clear that what they were after was a general campaign against the Islamic Republic as such. And that warning to evacuate a large area of Tehran confirms the fact. This is not what was presented as a war to preempt some dangerous escalation in the nuclear field from Iranian side, which was an imaginary claim anyway, but it is clearly a war to settle scores, to exact revenge, and revenge is a primary motivation of many in the Israeli state. And the consequences for civilians and the fabric of international law are dire.
Yes. From Sprinter Observer, Channel 13, Israel. Military cabinet to meet in underground complex this evening. The meeting will take place in the new fortified Israeli army headquarters located below the Ichalov Hospital, which is protected from Iranian missiles. Now, I'm sure anyone who's been following Gaza can see the irony, because a big part of the way they have justified, as we were talking about with our last guest, the bombing of hospitals is claiming that they're hiding a Hamas under the hospital. Nimi Shirazi. So, Israel has a subterranean military command center built under a hospital, huh? Remember, folks, everything Israel accuses others of doing is just projection. Yes, we've also seen footage showing that the Iron Dome missiles sit right in the middle of residential neighborhoods.
Yep.
So you can't take them out without striking residential neighborhoods. And as we covered a bit earlier, they are also already repeating their war crimes in Gaza. In Iran, they haven't wasted any time bombing hospitals. So, yeah. Israel continues to commit violations of international law in broad daylight. Very obviously, nobody believed Iran was about to get a nuclear weapon. There are decades of footage of these claims that Iran is months away from getting a nuclear weapon. They didn't believe this. This was an excuse to start World War III and to drag the United States into it. And they are conducting themselves consistent with that, just like they did in Gaza. Their tactic, their military tactic, and this is again how a fascist, ethno-nationalist state with absolutely no international law constraining it conducts itself in war. Hit the civilian infrastructure, hit the TV station, remember, to Israelis, to Zionists, everyone against them is a Nazi. And that justifies anything, right? Everyone who's against them is a Nazi anti-Semite. They are all heirs to the Nazis that put their ancestors in camps, and therefore everything is permissible.
Yep. And everything is permissible according to just about every established power on earth. Netanyahu said he compared the Iranian researchers to Hitler's researchers, right? I mean, they just throw that comparison out, and they think of that as a shield, and they have no reason to think that that will not work. What Dr. Feroz Sidwa told us earlier on the stream is that, you know, unlike Gaza, Iran can hit back hard, which makes this,
which they are doing,
a much more dangerous game. And you just take it day by day to see how things go. The latest, apparently, you know, Trump made a threat that said everybody should evacuate Tehran. He tweeted that out. Once again, we don't get an address, we don't get a comment. We have to follow his Truth Social. He doesn't even tweet it out. Go on Truth Social. Maybe post on X if you're going to threaten nuclear war. At least post it on X, right? Don't make people go to Truth Social, right? You know,
could give a national address, even maybe.
You could maybe even go on camera and like tell people we're about to start a nuclear war, as opposed to like rage tweeting about how Iran should have taken the deal. No, it's what a disaster. What an absolute disaster. And look, I said this on our show yesterday. I'll say it again since I'm lucky enough to be trusted with this larger platform. There's no excuse for this. There's no excuse on Donald Trump's end, and there's no excuse on our end. There is no excuse to support this war. None. Right. After 9/11, you can claim we were shocked and traumatized, and so people got scared. I'm sorry. That history is still fresh in the minds of a lot of people, and if it's not fresh in your mind, it's easily accessible to everyone who's watching this show, because if you're watching this show, you have internet access, and as Caitlin Johnston said, if you live through the post-9/11 scare and or you have internet access, there is no excuse to support this war. We all have to very loudly in one voice condemn this. The fact that Dave Smith said he should be impeached and removed. Now Tucker Carlson is speaking out against this. Bannon, Marjorie Taylor Greene, obviously Thomas Massey, who's been on the outs with Trump for a while. But, you know, when Dave said he should be impeached and removed, you know what? If these MAGA Congress people and MAGA senators want to save face and maybe have a career after this disaster ends, maybe they should impeach and remove. What do you need, 2/3 in the Senate? Are there 20 senators who want to have a political life after Trump? Are there 20 senators who want, are there 20 Republican senators who want to survive the fallout of this and be able to live a public life afterwards without being shamed indoors? Maybe that is what can happen. I don't know. But something's going to happen.
On the bright side, with these kinds of authoritarian personalities who rely on brute force rather than persuasion, generally they're hated. It's an Achilles heel of dictatorial kind of personalities. So his base turns on him. That's really the only thing keeping them in line. Like, if the base is screaming for his head, I don't think it would take much for the Republicans to turn on him. They don't like him. They fear him. If you take away the cause to fear him, which is his base, then they could very easily turn on him.
Yep. That's
not the way to bet, but could happen.
Well, that's what we got to hope for sure. All right, folks. Well, on that note, that is our show. We're going to take some more Super Chats and Rumble Rants and then close the lights on the program here. John Stoltenberg is just a sales rep for the U.S. military-industrial complex, says Fret Pound, pushing EU states to spend more. Trump praises him, but there's nothing to praise. U.S. arm makers win big. Let's see here. What else we got? Flint Match. Tired of these parasites urging my government to send more of my countrymen to die in yet another idiotic war across the world while they loot the treasury at home. Let my people go. Fret Pound says, read a book called The Wild Coast, future story where the world decides the U.S. is too dangerous, nukes back to the 1700s, and bombs any tech comeback. Prophetic? Could be, yes. Keaton may get this, says Louise Brooks, since he has kids. I want to write a book, If You Give a Zionist a Cookie. This is all other insanity. Yes, I do know that reference, Louise. That is a reference to the book, If You Give the Mouse a Cookie. And the idea is it starts a chain reaction where you give a mouse a cookie and he decides to do something else because of that. And then he decides to do something bigger and bigger and bigger. Yes. Good one, Louise. Good reference, Louise. Those are the kind of pop culture references I get nowadays. But that is our show. So thanks to Jimmy.
I think we just have one more coming.
Oh, do we have one more coming? All right, what do we got here? P.W. Walker, Keaton, you assume that Democratic senators would be on board with impeachment over Iran. Democratic senators will protect Trump in that case. Yeah, there would be some. Obviously, you got Schumer and stuff like that. But no, I mean, what you need, obviously, before you talk about any of that is you just need what I said we needed. You know, last night on our show, I said this and got into it a little bit today, and we will talk about this all week. People have to, in one voice, reject this. And there can be no... You know, I see certain people, I won't name names here. You know, I don't know what the office politics are about that, but people still saying, hey, Trump's looked crazy before, and so give him a chance. Give it a few days. Get the fuck out of here, man. Like, stop.
And
anybody who's been paying a modicum of attention to politics over the last 20 years has been fearing this. If you have been paying attention politically for the last 20 fucking years, this is your worst fear realized right now. The war with Iran. This is the big one that we all knew they wanted, and we were able to delay it. And we were able to put it off. But now we're here. There's no excuse for it. Sorry, go ahead. What did you going to say?
Yeah, and, just looking at the commentary from real professional scumbags like Konstantin Kasin, if you're still watching these people... Shut them off, man. Shut them off. The way you cut them off is you shut them off. That's how they're making their money off an audience. Because personally, I think their real money is they're getting paid. They're paid propagandists. But they're not going to get paid if they have no audience. Then they're not worth paying. You want to destroy these people? Stop watching them. Do not watch Trigonometry, Levine, Daily Wire. Obviously, anyone on Daily Wire. Just cut off all these propagandists at the knees. Send out the message. This is not going to be tolerated.
Yep, exactly. 100%. All right. Thanks to Jimmy and Steph for the opportunity. As always, been a pleasure. Thanks to Misha and Malcolm and Andrew in the booth and the whole team here. Thanks to our guest, Dr. Feroz Sidwa. We are on Due Dissidence tomorrow, 2 o'clock. YouTube and Rumble is going to be a lot to talk about, and then there'll be even more to talk about Wednesday night when we are back here on the Jimmy Dore Show. And then our friend Misty Winston takes a turn in the host chair on Friday at 4 p.m. So that will be pretty cool to see. So, assuming the Wi-Fi and the infrastructure is intact to run podcasts this week, we'll see you all week. This week, we're on all week on one channel or another.
Assuming the world doesn't end.
That's right. So thanks once again to the whole team. Have a great evening, folks. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.